At the dawn of June 6, 1944, a combined total of over 156,000 U.S., British, and Canadian troops stormed the beaches of Normandy. The objective of this invasion was to push back Nazi forces from the coast and establish a foothold in northern France. If the mission was successful, the Germans would have to fight a three-front war. Because of the events of Pearl Harbor, America joined the Second World War in December of 1941. By this time, the Axis forces had taken over territory in all parts of the world. In order to stop their progression, all of the Allied powers began to push back against the Axis fronts. The British and some American troops began to push from Tunisia and into Italy. At the same time, Russian troops began to push back Germany's Eastern Front as well. So now it was time for the Allied powers to take a northern front. With the brilliant mind of Dwight D. Eisenhower, the D-Day invasion was created. The plan was to drop air troopers behind Nazi coastal defenses, bomb the Nazi defenses with artillery from the sea, and then invade the beaches by foot. The renowned Nazi leader, Adolf Hitler, knew that there was going to be some type of land invasion at this time, so there was heavy defenses in some areas. The most heavily defended beach was Omaha. The lives of over 4,000 Allied troops were taken in that morning. The invasion was not deemed successful until June 30th of that year. On this day, it was confirmed that the Allied forces had formed a firm foothold in the coast of northern France. With this, the forces were able to advance into Nazi France and take over Paris. They did this by using the encircling method used by the Nazis called Blitzkrieg. This advancement, along with the Eastern and Southern Front advancements made by Allied powers, the Nazis were eventually surrounded and suffocated, marking the end of the Second World War. So now let's talk about the significance of D-Day. Well, as stated earlier, the D-Day invasion created a northern front for the war. This made it so the Nazis had to fight 3 different fronts instead of just one, stretching its resources thin. In turn, this made the Nazi army weaker and less hopeful on all fronts. If this invasion was unsuccessful, the outcome could have been tremendously terrible. According to History.com, if the invasion failed, the Germans would have a huge boost in morale, giving them the strength to continue fighting the two-front war. The site also says that the Allied powers would have to launch a second offensive on the mainland Europe, exhausting its resources. The article continues by stating that a failure would allow the Nazis to move resources to the Eastern Front and hold on long enough to successfully sue for peace. So to conclude, the invasion of D-Day basically ensured the Allied victory in World War II. So how does this historical event impact us today? Well, it is said by historians that if the invasion was unsuccessful, the Nazi army could have taken over the remainder of Europe and then possibly other continents around the world, considering this was Hitler's overall goal, world dominance. D-Day also affects all Americans today. This event embodies the ambitious and brave character of Americans. It showed just how tough and relentless we can be. It showed what it means to be an American.